Alright, so I have been thinking about how best to talk about this one for quite a while because it goes deep, this topic. And if you ever struggled with this type of person, I really want you to hone in on this. I feel like I was trained from childhood to deal with this type of person just because of all the struggles that I went through. I was a quiet kid who lived the life of a child of a single mother. She had her amazing moments. I wouldn't be here today without a lot of the work she put in on me, but she had those dark moments as well. So at an early age, what I learned to do to make sure that my life would remain stable was pick up on my mother's emotional state so that when she was in those down moments, and I'm talking crushing moments where she wouldn't even get out of bed for 12 to 24 hours, I was able to do what I could, create distractions, try to keep everything going, becoming an adult well before I was ready. But the type of person I want to talk about is somebody that we all face at every aspect of our life. And if you're like me, you kind of wear your heart on your sleeve. You are kind almost to a fault a lot of the times, but you're getting wiser about that. You tend to always love to listen to people and their issues, and you're always willing to help. It just feels good and makes sense to you to help people. You're gonna run into this type of person. Before I tell you who this person is, I want you to hit that subscribe button and think about sharing this message out, because my goal is to help veterans for free online get the help they need using the experience that I have had as a life coach for the last 8 years. The person I'm talking about is an energy vampire, and on this video I'm going to teach you how to recognize one, maybe what their back origins could be, and most importantly, how to deal with energy vampires, including the ones that you don't really have a choice about whether they're going to be in your life or not. Because I recognize that those people that are energy vampires in your life may be family, maybe somebody you grew up with, and you don't really have a choice, or you feel you don't have a choice. We always have a choice, and how you deal with them. But number one, an energy vampire is this. It's a person that is more absorbed with the topic of themselves than they are with you. So what that can look like in life is they just come around you, and the conversation is always steered towards what they're going through, or what annoys them, or what they did, or them. It's never about you. You'll notice it gets weird and awkward for you because when you try to talk about something pertaining to your life, they will quickly steer the conversation around to them. In between, they may sprinkle little comments like, "You're such a good listener, you're an amazing person," but then they'll go right back to that same rhetoric of complaining. You start to feel drained. In a conversation, a good back and forth conversation, there's a transfer of energy. You're excited, you're inspired, you speak to that person, they get excited, they get inspired, they speak to you, and you both feed off of that amazing energy. But when you're dealing with an energy vampire, what you actually experience is the opposite of that. You are giving all this energy and inspiration in listening to them. You feel that lack of reciprocation. Energy vampires are just people that carry around a huge lack of reciprocation. So now that I showed you exactly how to recognize that type of person, let me give you a few quick warning signs. They always talk about themselves. You feel drained every time you talk to this person. Every single time you get sucked. They get you to this point. They take you through these emotional roller coasters where you start to really care about the situation and think that it's something that you need to help them out with. All of a sudden, when you get to the point where you're like, "Let's do something, let's work on fixing this," they're like, "Nah," and they go to another. They're not really interested in taking action. They just want you to keep paying attention to them. They'll call you. They'll show up unannounced. You just know it by the feeling. I'm sure you get it after hearing this. We've talked about how to recognize them. Let's talk about the origin real quick. I'm going to wrap up the video after that with how to deal with these people. The origin of an energy vampire is simply a person who grew up probably getting way too much attention. They got way too much attention, and they lived a very traumatic life and feel like in order to survive, they need that attention, they need that focus. This is different from narcissism because narcissists basically are attention starved as kids, as teenagers, maybe even as adults. It can come at any point. So when dealing with an energy vampire, let's get into the specifics. This is very simple but hard to do. Now, number one is to survey the relationship you have with this person. How close of a bond are you with this energy vampire? If Let's go from a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being maybe you see them at work, and then 10 being like their close family that you grew up with. Survey the relationship, and if it's below a 5, stop talking to the person, please. Only talk to them when you absolutely have to, and other times stop talking to them. 100%. Now, really quick, how do you do that? It's easy to say stop talking to them, but how do you do that if you have to see this person every day? It's very easy. Always have something you have to do. That's it. Thanks, man. I gotta go. I got this thing I gotta do, or I have this I have to do, or I'm busy. I can't get on the phone right now. Other people are like, but that's fake. That's shady. And I'm like, no, it's not. Because here's the deal. If you tell them directly, look, I feel like you're an energy vampire and I don't want to talk to you anymore, guess what they're going to do? They will double down and try even harder to attract you into the conversation. So you just keep them at a distance, and what actually will happen is they'll naturally just float away. They'll start to not get that energy return from you that they get every time they have a conversation, and they will look for somebody else. It's just how it is. Their idea and goal is to get validation and energy from you. And when you withhold that, they leave you alone. So that's how you would deal with one that you don't have a close relationship with. How would you deal with somebody who's close? They're really close, and you feel the strong responsibility, the strong obligation, the strong bond that you want to stick with this person, even though that is what is occurring. They're draining your energy. It's always about them and things like that. For those people, you can go one of two routes. Number one, because of that close bond you have with them, and you know they're going to be in your life from that point forward, you can take the direct route with them and say, look, whenever we talk, it seems to always be about you and what you're struggling with, and I just don't feel like I'm getting the same thing in return that I'm giving to you. Can we work on changing that? And then pause. Seriously, just pause and see what they say. Because 9 times out of 10, if that bond is as strong as you say, they're going to react in a favorable way and say, hey, I hadn't even realized that I was doing that. I apologize. And you can be like, yeah, it's just been really draining for me, and I'm going through some stuff too. The other way they will react is extreme. They could be like, fuck you, or be angry, or be like, that's not true at all. In those situations, you're going to be able to see who they really are. Maybe you will drop them down into that 1 to 5 category. I want you to recognize that family is the people that we choose, not the people we're related to by blood. I had to learn that hard lesson before I even graduated high school, is that family are the people we choose. Just be direct, have the convo. It's not worth it with somebody who's not really a close relationship for you, because you don't really care if they're in your life or not. If they are family or whatever, you can create distance by not talking to them as much, not feeding into those types of conversations as much. This was going on and blah blah blah, and where you used to stop in and care a lot and give them that energy and try to help them solve the problem, this time you'd be like, oh, that sucks, and pause. Pauses are important. Just pause. The other thing that you can do to specifically deal with an energy vampire who is very close to you and you want to create that distance is change the energy as well. You create distance by not feeding into when they're complaining or doing whatever they're doing, and continually start bringing yourself into the conversation. Put yourself right back in the conversation by talking about some things that are going on in your life. And when they try to steer it back to them or bring it back to complaining or drama or things like that, use the pauses, use a simple statement. It's called the gray rock method, where you just don't give them any energy. And what you're going to do over time actually is modify their behavior when it comes to dealing with you. They're going to start to mindlessly realize that I'm not really getting anything out of the convo unless I do this. And when they do what you want them to do, which is feed into having a conversation that's more 50-50 rather than 80-90-10, you start to pay more attention to the positive and say, I felt like you really listened well here. Thanks for that. Thank you for that advice on that. I feel a lot better about that. And that kind of pushes them in a direction where you can actually have a better time with them. Now, you're not going to fix anybody doing this, because an energy vampire is what they are, an energy vampire. But you're going to fix their behavior when it comes to dealing with you. You're anchoring them to treat you better because you're treating yourself better by making sure you handle these conversations this way. Now, as a side note, I want you to understand that people that are energy vampires don't realize it. They really don't realize it. And you may think you're going to do them a favor a lot of times by cluing them into the fact that they are. But the problem with that is we as human beings are creatures of habit. Even if you realize that you are that, it's only a matter of time before your subconscious kicks in and your survival instinct kicks in, because they think that they need that energy to survive. They need to make things that way in conversation to survive before they go right back to the same behavior again. Before you go out there trying to save them, I want you to understand that you're fighting something a lot deeper than you think. So your main goal and my goal in this video was teaching you how to defend yourself. If you feel like I taught you how to do that, I want you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, share this with somebody you know that has that struggle. If you're brave enough, share it with the energy vampire and tell them, take some cues, this is what you're doing.